Happy Friday. Welcome to the Build series. I'm Kevin Kenny, and our guest today has sold out shows around the world. They have hundreds of millions of views online for their music and are back today with a brand new album entitled Here We Go. Let's make some noise for Walk Off the Earth. I got to say something really quick about I'll Be There. You can't not feel good after listening to that song.
Thank you.
When you finish the song in the studio, I just want to go right there, no pun intended. How did it feel? I mean, just like a moment of elation. Like if it sounds that good this many months later, when we were here listening to it in the studio, how did it feel like in the room?
You know what? I actually just had this conversation with somebody backstage because we were all just there dancing and like to our own song, and and I said, you know, when we were listening to the album one night, I was actually folding laundry in my kitchen, and we were kind of deciding which one was going to be the single and what we were going to do and how we were going to roll it out. And I remember just being like, guys, this has to be it. Like, it was just full on dancing.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you test. That's how I test it. Because when we're working on songs, you get so into it, you don't know if it's good or not. So what we do is I'll just get all Sarah's female friends to come over, and I just put a bunch of songs on and put that, and just see if they
focus group.
See if they start going like this. I'm like, it's a hit.
The best feedback is from people that know nothing about music. My girlfriend, same deal. It's just so dancey. That's all I need to know. Yeah. That's all I need to know.
So those are the tests, right? Because some people have like a campfire test, right? They'll play it on acoustic, but you almost
that is a good test.
You almost need to not be focused on the song because you're so focused on the song in the studio. You want to like it, right? You need to almost be where we are, just as everyday people, like you were saying, Joel, of just like not even being into music.
Yeah,
that's great.
You don't always get to hear your albums like how everybody else does, right? Because you're always thinking about all the little bits and pieces and what could have been louder and what could have been less and more and all that. So yeah, you're right. It is nice to hear a song that you create in that form and be like, wow, I'm listening to it and it sounds good, and this is almost like I wasn't a part of it.
So do you head into creating these songs on the new record, or just really throughout your career, with the intent of an emotion? Of course, that one I think you had to write it, right? You want people to feel great. You want people to feel awesome listening to this. Do you think about the end result or the intent?
Yeah,
when you head
absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything we do as a band, everything we do, even just creatively, is all it's all oriented around how we're going to react, how our fans are going to react, how the feelings and emotions that are going to come about in those songs. And we write from our hearts. We truly do. And we're very excited about this album because it's got the journey that we've had over the last year has been a very crazy roller coaster, and I think when you listen to the record, it's going to take you on that journey with us, and people are going to connect with these songs, and yeah, we're very excited.
Yeah, I want to talk really. We'll get into the last year and what's made the record what it is. I also just want to talk about the journey since the last full-length original record, which is it 4 years? Did I read that right?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
It's been a minute.
So how have you guys grown just as people? Aside from the past year, which we'll talk about, but just over the past 4 or 5 years, when you think back to putting the last album out, how are you guys different individually?
I mean, I had 3 kids. I changed physically many times.
It's a heavy question. It's like we've been around the world. We've really had a chance to. I feel like it was still early days back then, by compared to where we're at now. I mean, it's just life gets in the way, and we get a chance to go and do all these amazing things around the world, and it's hard to say for sure when you're still in it, and so much is still happening, but we've changed so much for sure. I mean, it's just...
I think Joel specifically, physically, like looking wise, has changed the most out of all of us.
I was like 19, 20 when I first joined this thing, so I've really,
My kids looked at a picture of him the other day, and they were like, who's that? I was like, it's Joel.
Yeah, you're right. When you're in it, you don't really look back, and it's questions like that actually make you stop for a second and look back how much stuff has changed, and it's actually been pretty crazy. And I think you get smarter as you get older and just more wise.
Smarter
Hopefully.
How?
I don't know. Just like, I mean, it's like in the music business in general. There's so much creepiness and weirdness going on with things, and like you start to realize that. And you try not to get screwed over as much.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's smarter in the sense that you learn what things to not let bother you as much. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's a big one, actually, Joel.
Yeah.
That's a very big one.
I love everything you just said because it brings up a line. I think it's the opening line of "Lost in You" on the record, and something to the effect of "Let's get back to where we started."
Yes.
From the outside looking in and just enjoying your guys' music, I pointed to that lyric and I said that could almost be the thesis probably for this entire album. Is that what you feel like when you began the journey to Here We Go? Was that an idea that you guys had?
That's It's amazing that you thought that. I don't think we did that intentionally, but you're right. Yeah, so many people always, they kind of go and like, let's go back to where we started. Let's start from there. Let's take a look at the, what was going on back then, and we're moving forward from there, or whatever the situation may be. It wasn't our intent with that song in particular. That song was just like a love song written about a couple that, you'll hear that in a relationship sometimes if you're unhappy, like, why can't it be like it was in the beginning kind of thing. And
But I do love how doing some of these interviews and just talking to fans about the record already, how they're bringing up these subconscious things that we wrote in the album that we might not even have realized why we wrote that, and then they're saying, and you think like that does make sense. That's probably why we wrote certain things. Even with the album name "Here We Go," it has so many meanings, and it's just you start to realize it even as the writer after the fact.
Right.
How deep it was in your head.
And it's funny, that's almost a fun part of promo. There's a lot of pains of promo when you put a record out, right? But that's kind of fun where you go, oh, wow, I'm actually learning about it in a different way now.
As long as the interview just doesn't go, oh, so you got a new record, tell us about it. Because we had that. You don't know who we are, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, name it.
what's it called?
Walk of the Earth?
So the record, there's a lot of songs on here that I do love. Lost in You is one of them. And also I want to talk about just the journey you guys have been on. Of course, the last time you were here, Mike was here, of course, and you lost Mike late last year. And you honor Mike really in a beautiful, touching way on Mike's song on this record. I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking, just what the initial conversations were like after you lost Mike, somebody so close to you, and what the proper way to honor him was there ever thought of not honoring him in song? Was there when you honor a friend like that, do you think about the sonics of it, what you wanted to say? Do you want a song that Mike would have loved? Do you want a song that you
I
loved?
mean, straight up right away it was like, how do we even move forward? Like just thinking about that and realizing what an enormous part of this unit he's been all these years. So to have that first conversation of, there's tour dates on the calendar right now. There's a bunch of demos that he was very much involved in. We need to really sit down and talk about this. And going through that and sitting down and having those conversations and realizing that we know for sure that he would want us to carry forward and spread his spirit and his message and his energy. Realizing that we wanted to do that and we took it upon ourselves to want to do that. Yes, we're going to keep the tour dates. Yes, we're going to make this record. Yes, we're going to do everything we can to carry him with us moving forward. It was actually a fairly easy conversation. And to that end, with Mike's song, I think one of the greatest gifts as artists is when you go through hard stuff, when you go through positive stuff, whatever the case, you can write it out. You can get together and you can express something as a unit that allows you this catharsis, allows you this way to find a way through it. And that as well came together quite easily, and we wound up in a room, and it really came together quite naturally, and we're really proud of that one, and we hope he would be as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It really is hard for me personally to articulate my emotions sometimes, and luckily I have that art of writing it into music. And it wasn't like we need to write a song. I think it was like we need to write a song. It wasn't like
it just happened.
We just did it. And
there was two sides to Mike Taylor. There was Mike Taylor, and there was Beard Guy, and when we were going through this process, we really discovered the difference between those two. And what we wanted to do and what we thought that he would be the most happy with would be to honor his legacy and give the fans a chance to grieve in their way, because he, which we've discovered over the last year more than ever, is he had millions and millions of people all over the world that loved him deeply, very, very deeply. And it was important for us to carry on his legacy in the best way that we can, and to continue to do that, and like Joel mentioned, just getting our emotions and our feelings out into music. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. We're artists, we're creators, and that's what we did with Mike's song.
And knowing that this stuff is going to be able to stick around, the YouTube videos, the music, the stuff that he was part of, and we still have and can listen to his piano takes and feel him through that, knowing that that's going to continue to inspire generations to come is just so heartwarming for us.
Right.
Yeah, it's very special. Like he's in my living room every day. My kids watch our videos all day long. So it's hard, but it's also really beautiful at the same time.
And that's the often not talked about beauty of YouTube,
Yeah.
Totally, man.
Of course, it kind of launched you guys, but then also just the permanency of it.
It's so permanent, and it's amazing. Like I always think, how awesome is it going to be for our kids to look back and watch this stuff, or our children's children, and I would love if my parents had way more video footage of them when they were younger and, you know, doing their thing that they were really doing that we didn't really know or understand yet because we were too little.
Right.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald has a fellow Canadian, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yeah.
Has a great joke where, you know, everyone nowadays has like one photo of their like great-great-grandfather, and then like in the future they're gonna be like, hey, you want to see 10,000 photos of my great-great-grandfather? You know what I mean?
However, the photo of the great-grandfather is like this really beautiful like setup because you only had one shot at it, and then the photos of the grandfathers from this generation are like Snapchat filters with like puppet
Candids
ears.
weren't a thing back then. Candids were not a thing. It was like get dressed. The camera with like
It was an event.
Yeah, the big sheet.
under the whole
I mean,
thing,
that's
you know.
you bring up a good point though, because I mean, like, there might be so much content that no one will even care about it, and like everybody cares about that one shot of their great grandpa, and it's like on the wall, like.
Yeah, that's the true legacy
Like
right
there must
there.
be like there's so many pictures nowadays, no one cares.
Your great-grandfather had bunny ears, really?
Yeah, same with mine.
Filters.
Like-
Yeah, exactly right. With Mike's song, I do want to draw attention to the fact that you guys are doing something really cool with a charity that meant a lot to Mike. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that was actually very much the Mike Taylor side as
Yeah,
well.
it's a charity called Music Counts, and they help get instruments into the hands of underprivileged children. Because Mike, he was a strong advocate that music changed his life for the better, and it took him out of any wrong paths in his life. So he was heavily involved with this charity, and he talked about it all the time. He was always doing events for them. So once we had written Mike's song, we were like, let's make a video. And then we called the charity. And we're like, how can we do something together to help raise money for this charity? And so that's what we did. And we ended up getting like a bunch of people donating to the video, and then we ended up buying a crap load of instruments and getting them in the hands of these kids. And then also on top of that, we put the link at the end of the video, and we've raised over 30,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
For the charity. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Which will cover a few entire schools. You know, I came from I never needed to think about coming up and being in music class, being able to learn drums from a young age or play in jazz band, that sort of stuff. Some people, especially within Canada, just simply don't get a chance to do that. So that figure alone will cover several schools.
Wow.
And literally make the difference between those kids having to read a textbook about here's how a drum set works and actually play a drum set and play these instruments and really get a chance to have music in their lives at a young age.
That's awesome.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, round of applause, guys. That's really the greatest thing you can do with music. I talked about Norm, fellow Canadian. I also want to talk about one of the sole features on this album, Dubs.
Yes.
Also
Yeah.
Canadians, Toronto natives, right?
Yes.
they are.
Yes.
They've been on the show before. Those are great guys.
yeah,
How did you guys link with them? Was that a Toronto thing or?
yeah. It was a
At the
Toronto thing.
airport, probably.
Well, that's how it got revived. But I've known those guys for years. Just them doing their thing in the music scene in Toronto. And then when we came out to LA the first time they were there, and we hung out a bunch of times, and we just talked about doing a collab. And we've always kind of talked about it, and then never really kind of finished it. And we saw them in the airport in Germany maybe 2 years ago, and we were like, oh, we got to do that collab. And we were both flying back to Toronto, so we hooked up in their studio, and we wrote and produced that song over a couple days. And yeah.
You guys ever find that you have better natural rapport with artists from your hometown, from your home city, from where you guys are from? Like almost like, like I'm from Jersey. I meet a guy anywhere in the world from Jersey. I can talk. I know that guy.
Yeah, I think it's
You know
just
what I
I think it's just location. Like you say, like when you see people, you end up doing stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's like we're from Toronto. Let's stick together. I
Yeah.
think that's not the vibe. It's just who you're around and your location. I think it's just
I think no matter where you go, if you meet somebody that is from the same place as you, there is like a slight, we're connected in
Yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
But we've worked with many artists around the whole world, and not all of them have been Canadian. But
Yeah. Well, actually, I wanted to, if there are just little quick stories about a couple of them, because they did stick out when I was looking at the resume. You guys work with Snoop Dogg.
yes, he's
Any
awesome.
Any Snoop Dogg stories or just anything little about that?
don't smoke his weed because you won't get to speak after.
I was literally 8.5 months pregnant when we performed with Snoop Dogg because we had just done a cover of "Lighters Up," one of his songs, and he was honestly one of the sweetest people I've ever met. He could not stop touching my belly. All he wanted to do was know about like my pregnancy, and in the meantime, we're in this RV. So packed full of smoke, and I was like, I shouldn't be in here. I don't think I'm supposed to be in this. I just gotta step outside for a sec.
So that's why the kids are so chill. That all makes sense now.
My midwives actually were really mad at me for doing that trip because I wasn't supposed to be flying, but it was definitely worth it. He's a very sweet man. Really is.
Yeah, very genuine. He was like, he just said basically that he was a fan of what we were doing and what we were doing on YouTube, and said like, let's do a collab together. And we just thought of a couple ideas over a couple months, and then we ended up hooking up in Hollywood and got in the studio with him and made a quick video. And yeah, he's really fun. We still keep in touch with him all the time. Really great guy.
If you listen to the record today, it's such an eclectic record. I mean, there's even like some hip hop on Under the Tree. Who's rapping on Under the Tree?
That's Joel.
Oh,
That's Joel's big rap moment.
Yeah.
Isn't it good?
I was listening to that this morning. I was like,
Dude, so like,
is this still the album?
we're on the road and we're like, okay, we need to get a guest rapper on this song. And I woke up in the morning and I just like voice noted out a couple ideas. Things escalated pretty quickly. The next day we were like tracking it. I'm like, this is just like a reference, right? And then like 2 days later I get sent the final song. I'm like, I'm still on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
It kept me guessing. I like it. We're going to get into some fan questions, but really quick, I do want to mention that you guys are going to be heading to Australia in January. That should be cool for a couple of shows, right?
Playing the dang Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
Crazy. Round of applause for that.
Crazy.
That is...
They're about to shut it down for like 2.5 years for Reno, so we snuck in. It's like the second last show they're doing.
oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, four. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're excited.
Really
But the
cool.
whole run is going to be fantastic,
Yeah.
for sure.
And it's the winter here, obviously. So we like
summer there.
we like to plan our tours in the winters in warm places.
Yeah, very smart.
So
Yeah, and we'll be announcing a bunch of U.S. dates and European dates very soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, we're gonna go hard on this whole album cycle, this everything. We have a new live show that we're planning, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a really good year.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Well said. Let's go over to Twitter really quick. This comes from @GusCalzanetti. And Gus wants to know, what's the meaning behind track 2, Home Alone?
Ah, yeah.
Yay!
We like to call it a pouty love song because it's kind of like someone who's just like not taking no for an answer, and probably not in a creepy way or anything. But
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it's like
Hold on.
it's just like, you're coming home. I'm not leaving until you're coming with me.
I'm not.
I don't know. It's kind of like
Yeah, like two people playing hard to get, and it's and wanting the same thing, but not wanting to really shying around it, and that whole game.
Yeah, you can listen to it in like two different ways. One where it's like maybe they're together and they're not really happy with each other and like, oh, you're not coming, I'm not coming. Or you could think of it like,
more sexy.
yeah, like I'm not gonna go home without you, so let's do it, kind of thing. So yeah.
It's not the most profound lyrics in the
It's
world,
yeah.
but it's a very fun song.
Gus is a fan.
Yeah.
There you
Yes.
go, Gus. Let's get to the second studio audience question. It'll come from over here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey,
I was just wondering if there was anything outside of music that influenced the record, like visually or sonically.
Yeah, I mean, we sonically, for sure. Johnny and we have this really great producer, Tokyo, who get in the studio. Joel does a lot of the production as well. We like crazy ideas, so we tried to bring as much of that into it as we can. But when we're writing, when we're recording, when we're doing an album or coming up with any new ideas for videos, it's all about visuals, how we're going to interact with the crowd with these songs, and how we're going to bring these songs to life. So, or the whole album, and we are always like, the crazier the idea, the better. So that's kind of where we're always
Or
coming
the
from.
stupider the idea.
Or the
better.
stupider, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we were influenced basically by life, obviously, just different trials and tribulations, and the album also has a lot of relationship type songs, and we try to touch on different facets of a relationship, like from the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything.
Friendships, family, all the relationships, yeah.
hearing from fans over the years, to go back to that point about us having one intention when writing a song, and that meaning X number of things to any given fan based on their age or their situation. Hearing that feedback in so many ways over the years, whether subconscious or otherwise, has so informed that sort of process, because when you want to say a certain thing and you're deciding on a certain line, it's gonna be vague enough to do just that, to reach someone in so many different ways. And I think that's a really important part of doing what we do here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. We're going to get to one final fan question. It'll come from over here.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Hey.
Hello.
So I was wondering, what song was your favorite song to record, and is it the same song that's you're most excited to play live?
I think it's probably Here We Go.
Here We Go,
Yeah.
for sure, which actually was called Overtime. The album was actually called something else as well, right until the last minute.
There was a fateful tour bus.
There was a
evening
fateful
recently.
evening at the end of a tour we recently did. We were all on the bus. We had a few. And everyone was like, let's listen to the album. Like, this is it. So we were listening to it. And everybody was jumping up and down, dancing. And then Here We Go came on, which again was called Overtime. And we all started chanting, here we go, here we go, here we go. And we were like, whoa, stop. We all just looked at each other.
There was like a record scratch. Like it paused the room.
We were like, wait, that other name, that's not, and we were never really that sure on the other name. And we were like, this is the album name. So text management, text distribution, text everyone, album name's changing, artwork needs to change, like full last
Already
minute.
past the deadline. Like,
Yeah, way past the deadline. I didn't actually hear back from anyone until the next morning because I was like, they're probably so mad at us. But everyone got it. And so the fact that we were able to make it in time with this album name, it was a very, very awesome thing. And now I actually forget what the initial question was. Yeah. So
to your point though about how it would inform a live experience, I don't want to give too much away yet, but back when we were on the Sing It All Away album, we came up with this really cool idea to sort of hint at, in the same way that Here We Go is this kind of lyric throughout the title track. We're talking about this idea of sort of hinting at that throughout the show and giving fans an opportunity to build this climax throughout the show so that we finally, whether it's the last song of the main set or the final song of the encore, finally give it to fans. And we've been hinting at it the whole time. It's this cool kind of lead up the whole way that they're a part of as well.
I remember now. I remember. Which songs? Okay. So mine personally is Here We Go because it's so wacky and so true to us. I think a little bit more so than all the other songs on the album. It's just like this crazy, there's sounds in there, there's kids laughing, there's like...
Yeah, it was a fun one because when you're a pop band, you have the songs that might be a single, so you have to like not change your style, but craft it in a way that you can make sure that it can still work on radio and whatnot. And
play by the rules a bit more.
Play by the rules. And for Here We Go, we were like, this is just, we knew that it was never going to be a radio song, and we just did it everything that we wanted to do, weird sounds and putting like having a sax solo and all stuff like that kind of gets frowned upon in the shiny pop world.
Lady Gaga did it though.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Thank you for the questions,
the
guys.
question.
Now we are out of time. Before we go, Joel, the holidays are coming up.
We got to talk, man. So
Yeah.
so we were here about a year ago.
Yes.
And I was shocked that you had never, and apparently like maybe it's a Canadian thing, but I was talking
I think
about
it is.
my favorite holiday drink is Coke or Pepsi with eggnog.
Which sounded
And
disgusting and ridiculous.
Guys,
like
until
a
you
float.
try it, I'm
But
telling you.
But I
Kevin went
literally
home and tried
DM'd
it.
like a couple days later.
And
it was fantastic.
There we go.
Really, like I got addicted to them last year. I was just like
There must be like a chemical reaction that happens that creates this wonderful flavor essence.
So is there no booze in there?
No booze. You
I
can
put
add
some
booze.
I put some booze.
But
You gotta
in.
put some rum
it's
in
not
there.
Yeah.
needed. Like there's something
No.
about it, man.
It is really
Kevin
good.
gets me now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, highly recommend. So for your holiday needs, there you go. You can thank Joel.
There we go.
And this also can soundtrack the holiday season, guys. Here We Go is out and available everywhere now. Guys, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
Kevin.
on, Bill.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you for
Make
having
this
us
a
back.
tradition every year. All
I
right?
love
course.
it. Let's do it.
Walk off the earth, everybody.
Guys.